All right, today we're going to create the battery for the flashlight. This is what the finished product will look like. I'm going to click down here on the timeline to give you kind of a preview of how we will make this. All right, so let's get started. We will create a new file. We'll come up here and do a save. Just name this battery. Okay, so I'm going to start by creating a square on the top plane. So I will click over here in my top right, click on the top so that I get to the top plane, and I'll show this origin so we can see it. I'll click here and create a sketch on that plane. You can see that this is in inches, which is what we wanted in. If it were not in inches, you can come over here to your document settings on the far left under menu and click on this to the units there to change the units if you needed to. So you could come over here and change them to whatever you need, but we do want it in inches. So, all right, so in this top plane, I'm going to come up here to create and select a rectangle. I want a center rectangle so that the center of the rectangle will be on this origin. So once you've selected center rectangle, you'll come to the origin. Once the origin turns blue, that means you are on the origin. I will click on my cursor and then hold down and drag out to create my rectangle. And it doesn't really matter what size you create it because we're going to dimension it. So right now I let go, and you notice that the numbers at the top for the length of my rectangle are in blue. So I want this to be 2.9. And then I can hit tab and go over here and hit 2.9. If I hit enter and I didn't get the right dimensions, I can come up here to sketch dimensions, or I can actually just click on this and change that. Or if it is not already dimensioned, I can come here to sketch dimensions and do that, and I'll show you that in a minute. So that's my sketch. It's on my top plane. I'm going to hit finish sketch. If I come here and go back to my home, you'll see that I now have this one sketch. It is on my top plane. Over here on the left, I can open up my tree, and I'll see that I have one sketch one. It's locked because it's fully defined. And then down here in my timeline, I have one sketch. So now I'm going to extrude. I'm going to add material to that sketch to create a component. So up here in my create, I'm going to select extrude. So it's highlighted here, or you can come down here and select extrude. It automatically selects that rectangle because that's the sketch that we just created. And I want to extrude up, so I can select that arrow and just kind of drag that up. And I want it to go up 4.1 inches. So I can either type 4.1 in here, I could type 4.1 here. I'll just type that 4.1 and hit enter. And now I have the beginning of my rectangle. So you'll see on the bottom timeline, I have a sketch, and now I have an extrusion. So I have two steps that I have done in creating my battery. The next step that I want to do is to fillet each of the four corners. So I'm going to come up here to your modify. This is the fillet the fillet feature. So click here, select the fillet. All right, so I want to fillet each of these edges. So I'm going to come here, make sure you're on fillet, and I want you to select each of these edges. Don't want to select a face. I want to select actually the edges. So click here, here, and then you can hold the center of your cursor down to kind of rotate this to get to the back. So we should have these edges again, not the face. If I select a face by accident, it would show up here and have one face, three edges. So then I can either click that again to get rid of it. I can also X out here, but that's going to remove all of everything that I've selected so far. So if you click the face, just click it again, it will deselect it, and make sure that you have the four edges. And the tangency weight would be 0.5. That's not that. I'm sorry. The edge here is 0.5. This is just one. Okay. So now I have filleted each of those edges, and I can hit OK. there's the beginning of the battery. So now all I'm going to do is come to this top edge, top face. So again, I'm going to go ahead and click on this top here to get to the top. And I'm going to create a new sketch. I want the sketch to be on the top of the battery, not on the bottom. So again, I'm going to go, so I'm looking at the top, right click, and create a sketch. So that I'm creating a sketch on this top plane. If I look at that, you can see I want the sketch to be up here. I don't want it to be down there. All right, so now I'm going to go in and I'm going to create an offset. So again, it's a modify, come here to offset, and I'm going to select essentially the rounded square that we have created. And I'm going to drag that in. So I want to create a exact copy of that outline, but it's going to be offset by 0.15 inches. And I want it to be inside, so the way that mine is working, I'm going to have to do negative 0.15 in order to be offset inside. And you can see that it's an exact shape of that, so I don't have to do those fillets again. But I have an exact replica of that. It's just offset by 0.15 inches. So there is my new sketch. You can see I have a new sketch down here in the timeline. And it is a sketch. If I hide this body, you'll see that sketch, and it's 4.1 inches above the origin of the entire component. So put that body back. All right, so I'm going to finish that sketch, and now I want to essentially extrude again, but instead of adding material, I'm going to cut material. So I'm going to select that, go here to extrude, and instead of adding material, I'm going to extrude down. So I'm going to essentially come over here, the operation should be cut, and I want it to cut 0.2 inches. So we're going to cut out 0.2 inches of material in the center of that battery. So it's only going to go in one direction, 0.2 inches, no taper, and it should be a cut. So now we have this nice little cut inside there. And now we're going to add the battery terminals. So inside this, where we just cut, the surface that was just cut, that's where we want to do the next sketch. So because we're going to add the terminals, and we need to extrude up from there. So it's important that you get this surface, not up here, not the bottom. So you want to click on that, right click, and create a sketch. And we're going to draw 2 circles there. But in order to do this, we'll start with the first circle. So we're going to create one circle. I want it to be coincident with the origin. So when you select your circle, you want it to be a center diameter circle. When the origin turns blue, that means you're coincident with it. So you'll click and drag out, let go. And your circle should be 0.5 inches in diameter. So there is my first circle. Now I want to create a second one that's up here in this top left. But in order to actually place that correctly, I'm going to add a couple construction lines. So I'm going to come here to line, and I'm going to select construction over here. All right, so when I now click on this origin, so make sure your origin turns blue, click, and you're going to drag that up so it's directly 90 degrees. Make sure that it's 90 degrees and up on that axis that is already there. And notice that this line, escape to get out of it, is dotted. It is not a solid line. That's a construction line that we're adding in just to help us with dimensioning. So I'm going to come and select another line. So create another line, and we're still in construction. I'm going to start again on the origin and drag up at an angle here. Now, this line, if you did correctly, if you did it straight up and put it on the axis that was there, you should not be able to, if you click on this, you can't move it. This one, however, I can move any which way I want. So I need to define that, set it somewhere. So I'm going to come here to sketch dimensions, and click on this line, and then click on this line, and I kind of unclicked. So you want to get both lines and then kind of drag out in between and give that a 45-degree angle. When you do that, you notice that this construction line essentially turns black. And if I escape again, I can no longer move that. So I'm going to come over here, get rid of my construction because I want to add another circle in, and I did it too soon. So I do want that one to be construction. So now I'm going to create a circle and click on here, and it's still showing construction. That's fine. So 0.5 inches, and we'll come back over here and unclick to make that not construction. There we go. So we want 2 solid circles, and you want to start that circle, the center of the circle along this construction line. So you notice that I can move that, but I can't move it left or right. I can't get it off of the construction line because I made the origin coincident with the construction line, but I can move it as far as I want left or right, up along that 45-degree angle. So I want to set it an inch away from the first circle. So I'm going to come up here to sketch dimensions, and it's already selected there. So I'm going to come here and select this one, and you could dimension it this way, up this way. What you want to do is you want to have that at that angle. This distance here is 1 inch. So you want to make sure you're dragging it to get the distance along the construction line. So click that, and that should be 1 inch. And when you dimension that, these 2 circles then become black, so they're fully defined. And if I escape from the sketch dimensions, you'll notice that now I can no longer move my circle. So those 2 circles are fully defined. And if I finish sketch, you'll see now I have a 3rd sketch down here. And if you kind of rotate this, you see that that sketch is on the top part of the cutout, which is where I want it. So now I'm going to extrude those. So I'll come back to extrude. I'm going to select that circle and that circle, so you can see I can select both at the same time. And I'm going to extrude those 0.6 inches. And I want those to have a little bit of a taper. So I'm going to add a 5-degree taper angle. And notice when I come to the side, it's actually tapering out. I want my terminals to actually taper in. So instead of 5 degrees, I'm going to do -5 degrees, and you see how it now kind of tapers in. And the operation here is join. So we did an extrude, which we created a new body. We did a cut where we cut material out, and now we're doing a join to add material to an existing body that is already there. And then we hit OK. So now we have a sketch, an extrusion, we have the fillet, another sketch, another extrusion, which was a cut, another sketch, and then another extrusion, which was a join. And then the last thing we need to do is fillet this top part of this battery. So I'm going to come back here to fillet. And this time over here, I do want you to put wool fillet, and you are going to select this top face. So you might have to scroll in there, but you want this little top face that is all the way around the battery. So that's what you're going to choose. The radius should be 0.05, and it should be a rolling ball. And hit OK. And there is my battery. And if I want to look at it nice and symmetric, there we go. We can look at the front view. I can turn here and look at the top view. And if I come over here to my the name of it, and I can come down to properties. And if we scroll down here to physical, you can look here at the mass and the area and the volume. And there it is. Hit save, and you are done.